on Skype. Welcome back to Al Jazeera. So just about an hour or so ago when we were speaking on air, you were saying that Iran will be retaliating. Did you expect this type of response?
Yes, I was very confident that we would have a significant response, and I think that there's a bit more to come.
What do you mean by that?
That's just my understanding, that the Iranian response will be significant. It will be a complex operation. The Iranians have been playing mind games with the Israeli regime for the last week and a half, and I think people have been enjoying it. And ultimately, the Israeli regime has to face the consequences. It has carried out assassinations in Iran over the years. It has carried out sabotage. It has repeatedly bombed Syria against international law and targeted Iran and its allies. And ultimately, the regime, the genocidal regime, attacked the Iranian embassy, and the UN Security Council, the United States, Britain, and France refused to condemn this strike on an embassy. So there was no other way forward than to directly punish the Israeli regime.
You can see right here, folks.
Basically, we're asking for it.
That's one of the missiles right there.
When you say that there's more to come, will the response, if there is more to come indeed, will it be from Iranian soil, or is the expectation that attacks could take place from other countries in the region, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, for example?
Well, the attack from Iran is what is being carried out. The Iranians have also I think, warned the Israeli regime on many occasions that it will be punished. And when they did carry out the final attack on the embassy, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. In the past, the Iranians refrained from responding, both because Syria has had so many problems. It has enough problems as it is due to the dirty war carried out by the Israelis, the Americans, NATO, on the country since 2011. And as they deployed
this is Iran State TV about the retaliatory attacks underway in Israel by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard.
Also, again, showed strategic patience because they
wanted
Please
like and subscribe.
Of the world to remain on the genocide.
It helps Gaza. Our channel grow.
But now the Israelis have gone too far. And the Iranians are showing the Israelis that they can hit them, and they can hit them hard. And they're also showing to the Americans that Iran cannot be intimidated. And without a doubt, if after this strike, the Netanyahu regime makes the foolish mistake of striking back at Iranian targets, then it's going to get much worse for the regime.
Would Iran not be concerned that this is indeed taking away from the attention of Gaza and what's going on in Gaza?
Iran has made huge sacrifices for the Palestinian people for decades. We all know that the resistance in Palestine, who's supporting it. We all know who's supporting the resistance in Lebanon and who's supporting the resistance in Iraq and Syria and Yemen. And we know that Iran has been paying the price through decades of sanctions and harassment. But the Israeli regime has struck an Iranian embassy, and that is Iranian sovereignty. If Iran does not respond to this rogue regime, tomorrow it will strike another embassy. The day after, it will strike yet another embassy. So since the UN Security Council, since the British, the French, and the Americans support the bombing of Iranian embassies, the Iranians have no option but to make the Israeli regime pay the price, and it will pay the price of what it also did in the past.
What impact do you expect these drone attacks to have? I mean, we're just hearing from, this is according to the Reuters news agency, who's reporting that Jordan's air defenses, Jordan, of course, have closed their airspace, Jordan's air defenses were ready to intercept and shoot down any Iranian drones or aircraft that violate its airspace.
Well, I think history will remember where everyone stood during the Gaza genocide, who was supporting Gaza, who was supporting the Palestinian people, and who was doing business and trade with the Israeli regime. This will be for the history books. But the Iranians, their attack on the Israeli regime is substantial. The hope and expectation is that there will be damage to the regime, and we may see more than just drones.
There was more than drones. There was missiles as well as
Israeli
drones
retaliation
in this
again,
attack.
possibly in coordination with the United States.
A very, very, very small part of Iran's arsenal is being used tonight.
That's a scare tactic.
If the Israeli regime attempts to strike back, it will be hit even harder. And if the Americans make the stupid mistake of carrying out aggression, they will lose Iraq, they will lose Syria, and any country that hosts American bases, they will be sorry for it.
But the United States...
I'm going to stop that right there, folks. He said we'll be sorry for it. Let's think about food for thought here. This is Iran. They've been sending these drones to Russia. And they've been using them against Ukraine. The United States of America has been sending all of our arms to Ukraine. And now they've been sending them to Israel. We are depleting our arms. We're depleting our defense systems. We're depleting even our cash, our money. Our president needs to be impeached. This is ridiculous. This is terrible. It's outrageous. This man has just made a threat to the United States of America. And right now, we got 2 aircraft carriers that are in the region and going to help out Israel, which I believe the whole thing should stop. All this war stuff should stop. So, I think we're getting closer to a World War III. Let's continue on.
And the White House has already said that the U.S. will support Israel's defense against any airborne attack from
There
Iran.
you go.
This is what we're hearing right now.
Well, as I told you, the United States is a regime that is a partner in this genocide, or in this Holocaust, as the Brazilian president and many others have called it, comparing it to what the German Nazis did during the Second World War. This is the European genocide. This is the Canadian genocide. This is the Australian genocide that's being carried out in front of the eyes of the world. They have no dignity, no honor, no shame, and no morals. But they know that Iran has power, and they know that Iran has the will to defend itself, as it is showing tonight. So if the United States wants the global economy to go down, if it wants oil and gas exports throughout the world to be undermined, and the price of gasoline to go through the roof, then it can make a stupid decision. But I think for the sake of self-interest, the United States will make a smarter choice. And I think also that since they have also another war going on in the Ukraine and they've sanctioned the Russians, any problem that is created in the oil or gas market will definitely help their adversary in Moscow.
I mean, up until this point, we understand.
You know, I heard that we had sanctions on Russia on the oil, and yet we got Ukraine hitting the oil refineries. You know, I think the United States better take, and we better get Biden out, because this is getting unreal. He's closed all of our gas down where we make our own fuel. we're dependent on other countries that are terrorist countries for fuel. This is why I say we need Biden impeached now. I don't think we can wait until election. I really don't think we can. And I fear our country is next for attack.
Mr. Marandi, that there had been sort of diplomatic back channels and conversations that were taking place indirectly between the United States and Iran. Can you tell us about some of those conversations and the diplomacy that was going on behind the scenes?
Well, obviously, there are many things that I don't know. I do know that the Iranians told the Americans that if they stay out of the way, if they stay out of harm's way, nothing will happen to them because it's none of their business. Also, I think the Iranians have pushed for an immediate ceasefire to end the genocide in Gaza. But the Americans and their allies are keen on continuing their full support for the Israeli regime. The Iranians are demanding an immediate ceasefire, not because of any problem that Hamas or Islamic Jihad or Hezbollah or Ansarullah or the Hashid in Iraq or the resistance in Iraq and Syria have. No, they're actually beating the Israeli regime on the battlefields. It's only because of the women and children and innocent men and women who are being massacred in Gaza that Iran wants an immediate ceasefire. But the Americans don't have the political will to do anything to end this. They continue to support this ongoing genocide, and so are their partners. So there's really no path forward but for Iran to punish the Israeli regime for its repeated strikes on Iranian targets, to teach the regime a lesson, to not to make sure it discontinues this aggression. But the resistance fronts, the heroic resistance in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Yemen, and elsewhere, they will continue to beat back the Israeli regime. And ultimately, the only solution for Palestine is to dismantle the apartheid regime, to bring about a country, a state, where Christians, Jews, Muslims are all considered as human beings and equal human beings.
Okay, Mohammed Marandi, thank you so much.
Well, folks, you saw it. Please subscribe and comment. You know, one of the tactics I was hearing and studying on for Russia, you know, their tactic is to send in all the drones, and all of a sudden you get all the defense missiles going up and all the defense, different types of defense that we have in the air, and deplete that. Once you've depleted all your air defense, you know, what's going to stop the nuclears? All right, folks, I just wanted to share this, and it's scary right now. Please get out and vote. We got to get it changed because we have a man in office, in my eyes, in my opinion, should be impeached. He's tearing our country apart. We've got people from all these different countries that he's been talking about entering our country. How do we know they're not getting GPS fixes around all of our military bases? You know, it's our government buildings. I mean, it's unreal, folks. Think about it. You want to continue voting Democrat, you're going to not become a dictator slave state. Our country is not prepared anymore for war. It is time we all get up, speak, and do what we need to do to get our country back on track. All right, folks, please subscribe and hit that like button. Leave me any comments, and have a great night, and God bless you all. See you on the next one.